Welcome to the Twist News. I'm Erika Grey. In this broadcast, I'm going to talk about Vladimir Putin and his religious perspective. Now, his religious perspective has been pretty obvious because when he makes certain broadcasts, he makes them with the Russian religious community leaders. And he has had couple of videos where he is sitting with the lead rabbi of Russia. And concerning the Jewish community in Russia, there's over 200 Lubavitch synagogues or centers because of the religious freedom that is in Russia. I know I'm in contact with Hal Freeman. Hal Freeman is part of the evangelical group, and I'm in contact with Hal, although in Russia he also likes the Orthodox Church. And the Orthodox Church, Putin is very close with the Orthodox religion. And if you listen to the interview, you'll also see what I've talked about on this channel, that Putin is a nationalist. He loves his country and he loves things that are Russian. So let's play the clip in Vladimir Putin's own words concerning his views on religion.
You've described the connection between Russia and Ukraine. You've described Russia itself a couple of times as Orthodox. That's central to your understanding of Russia. You've said you're Orthodox. What does that mean for you? You're a Christian leader by your own description. So what effect does that have on you?
As I already mentioned, in 988, Prince Vladimir himself was baptized following the example of his grandmother, Princess Olga. And then he baptized his squad. And then, gradually, over the course of several years, he baptized all the Rus. It was a lengthy process, from pagans to Christians. It took many years. But in the end, this orthodoxy, Eastern Christianity, deeply rooted itself in the consciousness of the Russian people. When Russia expanded and absorbed other nations who profess Islam, Buddhism, and Judaism, Russia has always been very loyal to those people who profess other religions. This is her strength. This is absolutely clear. And the fact is that the main postulates, main values are very similar, not to say the same, in all world religions I've just mentioned, and which are the traditional religions of the Russian Federation, Russia. By the way, Russian authorities were always very careful about the culture and religion of those people who came into the Russian Empire. This, in my opinion, forms the basis of both security and stability of the Russian statehood. All the peoples inhabiting Russia basically consider it their motherhood. If, say, people move over to you or to Europe from Latin America, an even clearer and more understandable example, people come, but yet they have come to you or to European countries from their historical homeland. And people who profess different religions in Russia consider Russia their motherland. They have no other motherland. We are together. This is one big family, and our traditional values are very similar. I've just mentioned one big family, but everyone has her own family. And this is the basis of our society. And if we say that the motherland and the family are specifically connected with each other, it is indeed the case, since it is impossible to ensure a normal future for our children and our families unless we ensure a normal, sustainable future for the entire country, for the motherland. That is why patriotic sentiment is so strong in Russia.
And not only respecting the religions, but feels that they are an integral part of the people and of families that are within the Russian Federation. So this villain, Putin, Putin is the villain, this monster, believes in religious freedom. Now there's something wrong with the picture that is being presented on the part of the Western media. There's a scripture that says that by their fruits you will know them. And I know you're going to immediately go to the war. But war has there's strategic interest. There's a strategic interest on the part of Russia with Ukraine. There's lines that have been crossed. There's crimes that were committed within the Donbass against Russians. There's many factors that can go into war. And the United States should not be throwing any stones when the beam in its own eye is so big, because we fought more wars and there have been many atrocities that we have been responsible for in our wars. So again, back to by their fruits you will know them. If you listen to his words and you look at the historical actions of the things that he or Sergei Lavrov, his foreign minister, talks about, you'll see that Russia has been trying to act very diplomatic, but also from the Russian perspective. And John Mearsheimer talked about that. He speaks all of the time, and he speaks about how the U.S. president need to understand the Russian mindset or Russian culture. That also has been poo-pooed, thrown off as propaganda when there's the Russian mindset, just like there's the American mindset or there's the European mindset. There's different Chinese, whatever area, there's a cultural difference. There's cultural differences even in the United States. If you go south, if you're in the north, if you're out west. So you have to understand the mindset. None of that, of course, is allowed. None is allowed. No mindset for a Russian. It's just you're getting a very narrow view from the United States. Well, anyway, so I wanted to point out that I found it very interesting that there was the Christian leader question the religious affirmation on the part of Vladimir Putin of being Orthodox, but also of respecting the different world religions, especially of those peoples who are in Russia, and respecting them. I mean, I'm sorry, this just doesn't sound like a wannabe dictatorship to me of somebody who's going to be conquering the world. I mean, that is just such nonsense, and we hear it from highly decorated U.S. military personnel. I don't even know how they got so decorated. How would you get so decorated and come out with something that is just frankly absurd? I mean, give me a break. The guy's been in power like 23 years. 2 countries, border countries, both because they wanted to join NATO. That is a real threat to Russia. And yes, I know that some experts say that NATO was not expanding east. Oh, yes, it was. Anyway, so this I found very interesting, that the religious aspect of Vladimir Putin would be not only answered, but with considerable detail. So again, you have this picture of Vladimir Putin as a very individualistic thinker, traditional values, nationalistic in his policy, and really wanting what is best for Russia, was open to agreements with the West, had opted for those initially, had wanted that door open, but it was the United States who shut it. Anyway, again, hope you found this informative. Stay tuned for more. Hit that subscribe button.
Damn.
Запах, когда папа в будке, Вроде бабы, он тебе не шутка.